Yeah, we're like way loud.
Peach, can you turn me down a little bit?
Even more.
Peach! Is that got to be plugged in?
I just unplugged it.
Maybe that's important.
I'm going to kick you with my very small penis. There, now she's working again.
Mark Floyd says, there we go.
There she
is. Is that better? Hopefully you can hear us now. I'm less than thrilled. My name's Tom Maloney. Over here to my right is DJ Jazzy Jeff Everett. Over here to my left is Donovan, the technical issue guy, Johns. And guess what? All these shows we've done all these shows for like 26 months or something like that. This is my favorite guest. No offense to Kyle Tellstrom or to Adam Nelson or Colton Nelson or Jason Wardle, but this is my friend Dan Breach, one of my lifetime friends, one of my best friends in the world. Dan Breach is here with us today, and so it's kind of an honor to have him. So everybody give Dan the clap. You at home, give Dan the clap.
Go see the doctor.
Donna, why don't we have a wider camera so we can see Dan?
I just made it to the wider camera.
Okay. Fantastic. We appreciate you all being here tonight, and thank you very much. It's kind of in the middle of the winter right now. We're sitting here on December 9th, 2018, and guess what? This is the first weekend I recall, DJ, where we didn't have any racing.
But during the off-season, there's still plenty of news.
There is plenty of news. There is plenty of news. So I'd like to thank our sponsors, Generic Brands,
Woohoo!
New Belgium Brewing Company. Thank them very much.
They're not a sponsor. That's going to get us dinged.
Oh, okay. They're not a sponsor. But we want to appreciate them very much. We want to thank AC to Z Mechanical and Marc Newman, one of our great sponsors there. Generic Brands, new brand, Donovan. We'll talk about that if you can for just a second, since we're in the sponsor part of the show.
Oh, in the order of simplifying my life, and because I like to be somewhat generic, that I'm number one. That's me.
He's number one.
I am number one.
Oh, that's better.
No, I've taken Lion Tamer, Charmaine, Sticker Shack, Imprinted Gear, and all those other things that I do as side hustles and combine them into one hustle.
No more side hustle, one hustle?
I got too many freaking side hustles.
Of course, you can still find your favorite vapes on VoltVapes.com.
VoltVapes.com.
That's still the breadwinner. That's still the thing that makes it work, but we're going to do all these other things that sponsor the show today underneath Generic Brands from now on.
Yes.
So look them up on Facebook, like them on Facebook, Generic Brands. Donovan Johns. Fantastic. So those are our sponsors. We wish to thank all the sponsors from the past, and we are constantly looking for more sponsors for the show. So anybody out there that would like some sponsors for the show, we sure appreciate it, and we're always welcome to of course, mention sponsors for our guests. So, Deej, no racing. What happened? Everybody died. There's no racing. There's no fun. There's no NASCAR. What is it?
No racing, but you know what? There's still going to be plenty of news during the off-season. I think what I'm going to do is going to kind of pick and choose the news that's going to like...
Pick and choose?
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Kind of makes you go, kind of thing. We're going to start off right off the bat here with NASCAR, Camping World Truck Series, or NASCAR Camping World Truck Series champion Brett Moffitt. You know what? You win the championship, doesn't mean you're guaranteed a ride next year. That's what happened to him. He lost his ride. So the story with that team is that they were struggling all year.
Hattori Racing.
Finances, and they said they barely made it to the end of the season with finances.
Wow.
And they were looking at next year, and apparently they've got a driver in mind. It's not going to be announced until January. They have a driver in mind that has money with them.
Well,
so whatever that driver is, he's in, and Brett Moffitt.
Well, it's still the economics of racing, right? Yeah. And NASCAR, of course, is the highlight of that, and so is Formula One, to be honest. But NASCAR anymore, if you don't bring money, you can't run. And we've got to look back at our heroes. What our current heroes that you and I have, Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson, are probably the two last guys that have made it without a bunch of money behind them.
Right.
And I don't know that we'll ever see another.
No.
And Christopher Bell isn't in Cup yet.
Not yet.
But he will be.
But the story with Kyle Larson was when he went ride shopping for NASCAR, he was asked multiple times, does he have money? Does he have money? We know he's got a lot of talent.
Sure.
But
Elk Grove Ford just wasn't cutting it.
No. Not at all. Not at all. And, finally someone took a chance on him. And
Chip Ganassi signed him to a futures contract.
Yeah. Right? Now, if you look at the flip side of the coin, drivers that have come into the sport from money, Joey Logano, and I just had his name in mind, I just lost it.
Which one?
Paul Menard.
Oh, yeah, Paul Menard. He's brought a few bucks with him, you think?
Yeah. And so, so far Paul Menard hasn't really showed much, but he's got money. Joey Logano, over the last few years, has, obviously. You okay, Dan?
Great.
Somebody wake up Dan.
Well, I'm just thinking that, this should be no surprise to anyone because look at Martin Truex's position.
Yeah.
You're the reigning champ, but you're sitting champ and your team shuts down.
Right.
I mean, it's a money longer.
It is. Sure.
Reach.
Come on, scoot on in just a little.
Join the fucking party.
You could turn me down probably.
Right.
You know what? I'll get you turned down all the way.
Am I turned down all the way?
Yeah, that's just I don't know what the audio thing here is. It's Grandma's basement.
Grandma's basement is full of spirits and voodoo.
I'm gonna do this real quick, guys. Well, let's take a 10-second
10-second break.
pause. The stream is gonna keep going, but I'm gonna do a video reset real quick.
Video reset.
So they can hear us and stuff. But I'm just going to do an end stream, start stream. So we're gonna pause for just a second.
Pause for just a second to fix technical issues.
I did. I don't know why this thing is so fucking. I know it's killing my ears.
So,
is that a little better? Way back here.
No, I don't know what all the feed is. I don't know. Nothing changed on this side.
All right, let's fire it back up.
I did. I just did a reset.
We're back on?
Should be.
All right.
Check the YouTube feed.
The YouTube feed looks like it's back on. Is everybody, can you hear me okay? Oh, all right, thank you. If anybody out there can answer, if you hear me okay, I'd sure appreciate that because I'd hate to miss the interview with Dan tonight because I know a lot of folks tuned in for that. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in and give us a little bit of latitude with Grandma's garage here.
We're also first time on the laptop because we got kicked out, so I can't use the big computer.
Yeah, we are in an empty room. This is a freaking garage.
This is. You can see the unpainted, unfinished walls and the wonderful dirt.
So when we make it big time and we can afford our own studio, I guess we'll do that, right?
One day.
So
anyway,
other national news, of course.
Hopefully, we're not going down the road. I mean, we've been going down the road where money does matter quite a bit, and hopefully this is something that doesn't, represent something even bigger down the road where, talent really doesn't really matter that much anymore, and we'll just roll out the red carpet. Who's got multi-millions of dollars that can bring to the sport? So
it's crazy because it's always been a money sport, but there's always been classes. In NASCAR, you could make it. You could do it on driver ability. Some of the family members, like your Michael Waltrips and maybe some other family members that have come along, have got there because of their family and so forth. Kyle Petty, Michael Waltrip. I can't say Bobby Labonte because he was a champion. Jerry Labonte is a champion.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Labonte is the
Labonte. Don't put an R in it.
Sorry, Labonte. I'm thinking Allison's. Boom.
Yeah, Allison's. Davey Allison was a hell of a talent. And they had equipment back then too, so they had the sponsorship and so forth. But looking at it now, I mean, it's not a female thing, but if you look at Danica Patrick, she had ability. She could drive a race car.
Oh, she's
fine.
Yeah.
But did she deserve to be that right at the top of the sport? We look at Amarola, who was better than average, probably on talent, as far as the Winston Cup guys. And now he's winning races, and he was in the chase and stuff. She could never muster it, but she brought a lot of sponsors with her. GoDaddy and so forth. Nature's Fresh or whatever.
A lot of business plays a role in the sport.
Sure, it always has. I mean, you look even at our local deal here, the kids that can afford to have this and that and the other are making it. And we're still getting some kids that, aren't really rich that can make it up to the top.
Yeah.
And win. I mean, I don't see a tremendous amount of money, any more than average from our NASCAR Division I champion, Brian Wolf's program. He's just done it on ability. At our local level, and done very, very well in everything he's ever driven. So, he has a tremendous amount of talent. Talking with somebody I think is locally fantastic talent, he's now local, is Kyle Tellstrom. I talked to him this weekend. He doesn't know what his 2019 plans are. He doesn't know if he has anything to drive. That kid's got talent, no doubt. And, the family modified sitting down in Northern California, but he lives up here. So is he going to be able to run that much? What are they going to do? He's like, I don't have any plans for next year.
It's always been a controversial topic, talent versus money, and
it'll always be there. I don't think we're going to solve it tonight.
And I see it getting worse. I see it getting worse with what just happened, with Brett Moffitt. So, other NASCAR news has speculated Kurt Busch is going to be replacing Jay McMurray in the number one car, bringing Monster Energy with him. Don, you were weighing in on him a little earlier with Kurt Busch.
Other than I'm a huge Kurt Busch driving fan, I think what he brings to the sport is tremendous.
Yeah.
One of the few reasons I pay attention to the sport is from the Bushes and from kind of what's going on, what they bring. I think 90 of the 40. How many drivers do they have now? The
40. I don't know.
30.
Not enough to fill the field.
Right. Of the field fillers and anybody else, you have the Bushes, and you have really no other people who draw in. Yeah, Jimmy Johnson fans got white bread. Yeah. You've got McMurray fans white bread. White bread. They're vanilla. They're bland. They're great drivers, but they're boring as hell to see interviews with.
It's interesting to see the appeal of Noah Gragson after the Snowball Derby.
Yeah.
His controversial thing that could have went the other way really bad when he tried to kiss the trophy girl.
Yeah.
If that would have got picked up nationally, he tried to kiss the trophy girl and she shied away. Granted, he did get her number and took her to the banquet this weekend. So he did end up being successful.
Yeah.
But give Noah
Publicity
Gragson credit.
stuff.
He pulled her. He did get the trophy girl. He did get Mrs. Snowball, or whatever her name is.
So,
But isn't that a sign of the times? I mean, you can't even kiss a trophy girl anymore.
I know it's going to be that way.
you just have Monster Energy Girl sitting in the background, waving and smiling. And that's it.
Back in the 80s, we had to roofie them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
What you're cooking that we'll see.
so with Kurt Busch
You
going,
see behind the curtain, boys and girls.
Kurt Busch going the number 1 car. Even bigger news that leaves vacant on the number 41 car on a very strong Stewart-Haas racing team. So, don't know who's going to replace.
Let me ask you this, DJ, because you follow this stuff for a while. Why is Kurt Busch with Monster Energy sponsorship leaving Stewart-Haas?
Yeah.
Let's think of that for a second.
Yeah.
Well, how many egos are in that building?
Well,
Yeah, there's probably a lot of behind the scenes stuff that we don't know about, but
remember that team was started by Gene Haas,
right.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
The 41 team
Right.
it was Haas sponsored. He ended up getting Monster and bringing him with him, right?
Yeah.
Because his brother Kyle, as far as the Cup, was tied up with Mars
Mm-hmm.
and that group with M&Ms
Yeah.
and so forth. So they didn't pick Kyle; they picked Kurt. And Monster, where they market, is not like other companies. They market the individual. They don't care so much about results. They care about the personality. And Kurt does have some baggage, right,
Yeah.
from his girls and his issues.
Right.
And now he seems like he's settled down a bit from his ear surgery.
Not quite so Dumbo looking, but he's still.
Oh, yeah, his ear surgery. And Jimmy Spencer kicked the shit out of him. So, all that's good stuff. But
Two of my most favorite NASCAR moments of all time was Spencer just gluing the fuck out of his face. Big old black eye. I was cheering. Again, I've been a Busch fan since Earnhardt ran him hard in his first race.
Since Sling Blade, I like a big Busch.
Yeah.
If you remember, this actually
Just like I'm on this show, really.
this actually
Poor
started.
breed.
But if you remember, this actually started at the end of the 2017 season when Kurt Busch didn't even know he was going to come back, and they said, okay, we'll do a 1-year contract with you, and they did, and now he's finally out of Stewart-Haas. So,
Well, think about this if you could. Kurt Busch was handpicked by Gene Haas. So Tony didn't have any say, right? Is there friction within Tony Stewart and Gene Haas?
you never know. There's
How is there not friction with anybody
Yeah.
and Kurt Busch?
Or in Tony Stewart?
Well, and
Don't
yeah,
forget
Tony's
Stewart.
got an ego that fits like half of the Western Hemisphere.
And I don't
And
know
I-
Gene Haas
you know
from
what?
this bottle of beer, but
And I will say this: the 11 years I lived back there in that area, there's a lot of stuff that I heard that never made the news.
sure.
A lot of rumors back there. Everything. This driver was cheating on his wife and with the secretary, and that never made the national news. And there's a lot, living back there. So you don't know. There's possibly some stuff. going on in the
NASCAR rights and
organization.
all this stuff
Yeah.
from their popular
Yeah.
drivers.
Yeah.
Damn rights they do.
So anyway, that's the Kurt Busch story.
You gotta love the pit lizards.
Yeah.
We need more pit lizards at Meridian Speedway. How do we get that to happen?
So my
You bring
question
the pit
is,
lizards, you get the.
Oh God, we could go into stories. We're not going to. Stories.
so the sponsors that are on the one team, McDonald's and Lear and stuff, are they just leaving the sport, or are they going somewhere else?
Or
Makes you kind of wonder. Don't know if they're going to be
Yeah.
staying on board as a
Associate.
sponsor or something like that, possibly. So, but obviously, Monster Energy is going to be the primary sponsor, and don't know where Jamie Bird's going. So, I mean, these when there's one move, eventually you'll hear other stuff down the road. What's going to happen with sponsors and other drivers. So,
Try your mic there, Daniel.
Test 1, 2, test.
Is it?
Ted. He's just because he's talking
Well, it's 'cause
from
it's
like
big.
18 feet away.
Well, it's because the test you guys gave me a hard time about.
Well, it's because you were trying to deep throat the damn thing.
We have an Alicia Spore sighting. Breach, I miss you crazy guys, except you, Donovan. I don't miss you. That is awesome.
That's from a girl who used to.
Anyway, now Mike Davis said Monster sponsored Kyle's nationwide car. We all know that, bud. And Kurt drove Handful's brother. We get that. I just finished reading a book about the whole Monster sponsorship of Kurt, so I kind of understand it. Essentially, they sponsored the personality of Kurt Busch. Is what they did.
Which I think is a wise investment.
So really quick, a few more national things I want to mention. Did you hear about the new quarter-mile dirt track that's going to be going up next to New Hampshire Motor Speedway?
No.
Yep, it's going to be going up, and quarter-mile dirt track next to New Hampshire, and right now what they have is an AMA national flat track.
Oh wow, that'd be good.
But you remember back in the day when these dirt tracks were going up next to these big NASCAR tracks, and they're bringing World of Outlaws. Yep. They're bringing that's what they're hoping with this here, yeah. So
it was weird. Any of the ISC tracks had Charlotte, Texas,
Vegas.
Now Vegas. I don't know who owns Vegas. Is ISC still have it?
I believe
Phoenix, Vegas. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
So, you got to make it a full weekend, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday show if you're going to make money on this.
What was happening is, like in Phoenix, they'd run over to Manzanita and have
Yeah.
So why give that money up to a local short track when they can keep it all in?
Oh yeah, shut all the little guys down. Fuck them all.
Might as well fuck them.
yeah.
So regionally, we don't. That was national. Regionally, let's talk about our regional stuff. Anything going on? I mean, the PRI show was last weekend. Everybody's still kind of working out there. Last weekend. I just got home yesterday. But everybody's working out their schedules.
Warpo was a month ago, 3 weeks ago.
There's really nothing to report as far as scheduling yet. We're still kind of all doing that kind of deal.
Wasn't there? So what's the track that people are talking about? It's opening. I want to say Ukiah, but overall, who is reopening or got new management or something?
I don't know.
I don't pay attention. I trust on you guys.
You mentioned schedules. Can I mention something really quick about schedules real quick?
Nah.
No. I don't care. Why are you fucking asking me? So, you're 1/3 of this shit. Why are you asking me?
So some schedules did come out. USAC came out with all 3 of their schedules for midgets, silver crown, and sprints. Midgets have 33 races and 27 tracks next year. 11
so
states.
a light schedule.
USAC sprints have 44 races in 12 different states. And here's some just interesting. The USAC Silver Crown Series.
44 fucking races.
Yeah.
I'm
not done yet.
I don't even want to golf.
That's like nationwide, right?
I'm not done yet. Wait till I get to the World of Outlaws. But anyway, USAC Silver Crown, 12 races in 2019, 6 on pavement and 6 will be on dirt as well. So that's kind of cool.
Ooh.
World of Outlaws, of course, they have the whole thing. 92 races in 25 states next year, 2019. That's always been
as a management.
Always been for the World of Outlaws, just under that 100 race mark.
One of these years when I make my millions, I'm following every guy.
I agree.
Florida,
Me too.
Right. You're just going to be a
did.
World of Outlaw groupie.
Regionally, if you want to hear something regional about the World of Outlaws, they did add one track new to their schedule next year. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. Fernley 95A in Fernley, Nevada. It's a dirt track in Fernley.
Yeah.
It's going to be on the World of Outlaws schedule for next year.
Seriously?
In September.
That's a worth a drive.
Next year.
Road trip.
It's a Sunday night race. It's a Sunday night race, but that's fine. That's fine.
When in September. Right?
You're driving your minivan. We're going.
All right.
Both these guys have minivans.
I would do that just to go fucking watch a World of Outlaw race.
Yeah, you've never been, have you?
I haven't been to a World of
you
Outlaw.
gotta take that
No,
off.
I've been to USAC. I've been to a couple other guys, especially Central California dirt tracks.
September 1st. It's probably September 1st. The only Sunday race we have.
The only.
No, it's like.
And I'm a little busy that night. If I'm not mistaken. Am I still busy that night?
Let me guess. It's the Mini Stocks, Street Stocks, World Purple Mods are all scheduled for that night.
Yes.
No, I believe it's Sunday, September 12th. Let me just verify that really quick.
It's Manny's birthday.
Shit.
Manny, you got a birthday present.
We're going road trip.
But I want a clown.
September 15th, I think.
Bring DJ.
Anyway. Yeah.
Oh, that was in my out loud voice.
You can see that bother me.
I kid.
Anyway,
I kid.
that's all I got right now.
So that was bullshit time, I think. I'm looking at the old white.
No, we're not even too bullshit time is with Breach.
All right. Let's do this.
That's when we actually make Breach talk.
It's 21 minutes after the hour. We have 5 minutes of fuck up. So we're actually right on schedule. We're at 7:15.
Sounds perfect.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Breach is here with us.
Dan Breach.
And when you talk about in the Intermountain West, when you talk about knowledge and you talk about respect for a race director, for a program director, for somebody who can get the things done, handle a rough situation, fix things, make it better. Dan Breach is the first person that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Been lucky enough to be this guy's friend for a while. He guides me on a lot of stuff when he can. Welcome to Turn5.Live, huh?
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Welcome to Grandma's Garage.
Yeah. I got a bunch of questions. First one, tell everybody here, because we've got some folks watching that know you from our friends down in Salt Lake area in Utah. Tell us where you're from and who your family is and so forth, so everybody knows who you are. Because you don't talk about yourself very much, so most people don't know this stuff.
Well, I actually feel like I talk about myself a lot, but you're right. I don't.
You don't.
I don't share a lot.
Breach, suck it up, buddy. Come on, bring it in. Bring it in.
So,
Really?
I grew up in the Valley. I'm actually from Homedale, Idaho, and raised there and graduated from there and went to Boise State and gravitated to Seattle for a year or so, and then decided that Boise was the place I wanted to be, so I came back here.
Your first love wasn't motorsports, was it?
Mm-mm.
What were you best at when you were a kid?
Well, I was into just about every sport, but I was pretty good at football.
Yes, you were.
I had basically a whole town that was telling me I was going to be a football player my whole life.
Those of you that don't know, Dan played both ways for the Homedale football team, offense and defense. And
both ways we've heard that.
Yeah, and was state player of the year in both ways. So
Nice.
I mean, he was all first team on everything. And what happened? Hurt your leg.
Yeah. Yep. I went to Eastern Oregon State to further that on, and decided that wasn't made for me. Let's put it that way.
This guy hates talking about himself and his accolades more than anybody I know because he's so humble. So.
You're gonna drag it out of me.
But we're very proud of him. He's got a lot of football history and knowledge. His knowledge extends way beyond racing, by the way, because we talk. And the first time I ever won a fantasy football championship, he told me to pick up Larry Johnson, and I did, and I won. So there's a lot more to Dan. We're lucky enough to attend basketball games, and football games, and things together. So if you ever want to sit down and talk about other sports other than racing, Dan's also a wealth of knowledge in those. So what was your first race you ever attended? Do you remember going out to one of Don's races? Now I got to back up. His family is racing. So tell us a little bit about your family and who you know. And
What started you out when you were little?
So my parents divorced when I was 2, which is a good thing because they were completely opposites. And my mom remarried Don Talsma, who the Talsma name is very famous around Meridian. And so basically my first memory, I was 5 years old in 1971, and Don and Tony put these cars together, and I can't remember the name of the class, but they all had triple-digit numbers. That's how old it was. Everyone in this class had a triple-digit. Remember, it was a pink car that was like a 57 Chevy, and it was number 108, and it kicked butt, and I was hooked. I mean, this is the first event, and it was exciting and stuff, so they decided to go into it seriously, and they had a little, their family owned the bowling alley and the restaurant there in Homedale, so they were from Homedale, and they had a little garage they rented to build these cars on. So the most amazing story that no one knows probably is that they, number 1 and number 2, the next year they got rid of 3-digit numbers, they wanted to run the class, and they both wanted 1, and so they flipped a coin and Don lost. So Tony always ran number 1 and Don ran number 2. And
that's a true story. Their whole career.
That's how I got to run the number 2 later, is just taking Don's number.
Your stepdad's number.
So it was awesome. I have great memories. My stepdad's very involved in WIRA when it was instituted in 72, and he's like a 3-time president. And my mom became
one of the calmest, nicest men you'll ever meet, Don tells me.
Yeah, he's very
guy.
Very with it, very serious and
you have a lot of Don in you.
Yep, I probably do a lot. But growing up around him and stuff, I kind of picked up on that and wanted to be serious and whatnot.
And your mother, the Western Idaho Racing Association Auxiliary, you can speak on that as well.
Right. So my first memories at the Speedway really is going and selling programs for the auxiliary when I'm 7, 8 years old. And I remember Mom saying that I make the most money out of anyone because I'm not afraid to go up to people and say, hey, you want a program? And how do you refuse a little kid that's like, a little fat kid going, give me money, please. So I was pretty good at the program selling, which of course was fun. But I kind of even been back then got noticed for my numbers and stuff, and I'd always do the points. Even when I was 9 years old, I was doing the speedway points. So a lady named...
You would catch errors that the scorers were making in points.
Yep. So the word kind of got out, and so a lady named Verda Nix, who is the official scorekeeper for the Meridian Auxiliary, I got hired to go work in the press box when I was 11 years old to go keep points for him and results. And I had an official chair up in the tower, and I went there every night and did my stuff. And so that's a little bit of the history, like in the 70s.
I remember some races when they had long races and so forth, 250 lap Northwest Superstock races and these type of things. Dan would sit up there with the lights on, going back over and over and over the line scoring to make certain it was correct. He'd go through it a minimum of 3 times before it was correct. And then Nix would go through it with you, and you guys can make certain before you posted officials. And that used to be a big deal. Now we do transponders, and it's official pretty much right then. But Dan was instrumental in that. We always waited for Dan to make certain it was official. So
one of the interesting things too, my family is very involved. My aunt and my mom both do scoring by 10 key. People are like, how do you do that? It's like, it's just every lap you hit total and make sure your total is the same. And you go back, and if it didn't total, you know a car went off the track or actually off the track. And that's one of my fondest memories, is sharing that story with people. You don't even know that we used to use 10 keys. That was what we did. In fact, in RMR, when I was down there, we bought a 10 key and taught my wife to actually 10 key.
To back up the transponders in case they screwed up, right? In case everything went down.
Yep.
Yeah. And your beautiful wife, Sam, good friend of mine as well, enjoys scoring too. I know that she enjoyed that as well. All right, so that's a little bit about Dan, and then most of you probably didn't know that, and I still find things out about Dan all the time, so I'm excited. All right, the best race you've ever saw. I got that written on the board. I got to ask. Now let's go back. I mean, this is 47 years of going to the racetrack. What's the best race you ever saw in your life?
Well, it was one I actually didn't see live. I mean, that's probably going to shock some people. But back in the 80s, when my cousin Randy Talsma was on the midget circuit, and they did the Thursday Night Thunder on ESPN, and he had the car of a lifetime one night, and he, I think it was Mike Bliss, I might be mistaken, but they basically did slide jobs on each other for about 20 laps, and it was the most exciting racing. Of course, I
remember the race. I remember standing up in my front room screaming.
I think I remember too, actually. Yeah.
And it was awesome, and Randy ended up winning, and really that was probably my favorite memory ever, because number one, I knew Randy, and we grew up together, and played cars together, and slot cars and everything, but it was just, for the TV audience, I think it was thrilling for them too, to have such a great race, and that was really a highlight.
Well, that's you guys must have been pretty thrilled when he won the truck race at Mason Marin as well.
Couldn't be prouder. It was obviously, he grew up Meridian, right downtown Meridian, and I'm very proud of his accomplishments and everything that he's done.
That whole family, the Talsma family, Tony, Ron, Don, Don's wife, Dan's mom, Sandy, they've all been benevolent ambassadors of racing for the area. So having that happen was a huge deal. Randy's a great guy. The more you know Randy, the better you like him. From him running the little Chevy 2 midget, the white and red number 76 with the cool gold leaf numbers on it, and nobody was running the Chevy 2 anymore, and he was up there kicking their ass in it. The Volkswagens and the Sescos and all those weird cars, and he ended up getting a lot of rides. And I think he could have went further if he'd have been a little bit more of a self-promoter, but he always let his racing do the talking. And his love of Christ was always his message, and a great guy all the way through. And his teams, he had opportunities there and did really well with his opportunities. So good for him.
As you know, Dan, I do the field trips there at the Speedway as well. And when I talk to the kids about the history of the Speedway, and I get to the drivers that have actually moved on to be successful in higher forms of racing, I always mention Randy's name.
Mm-hmm.
So
right on.
I mean, it's something you can actually go Google and find a history and highlights of his wins and his career. So it's, I remember that was how I was watching a lot of his races on TV on Saturdays. One of the coolest things that I liked too was when I got involved in racing. I actually raced for about 12 years, and it was nothing top tier or anything, but we had a really good time. And it's funny, there was a group of us that all started at the same time. We all got better and better, and so by the end of 6 years of racing together, it's like, oh, you got into me on purpose. And it kind of took some of the fun out of it because we were all fun and just having a good time. And then we all got to the point where we were so serious that it just, it was almost too much. But one of the things that me getting back into it, of course, Don, he wasn't one that just gave me everything. He was like, you need to learn how to fix things yourself and whatnot. So as I got back into it, he's like, he'd been retired about 10 years and, kind of left racing. He got back involved and had another good 14 or 15 more years of racing in it. And I always,
he used to have so much fun hopping in the motorhome and driving up the Yakima. He might not even race at Meridian but once or twice a year, but he always made the fall classic and stuff, and big old smile on his face. And I know that your mom and stepdad have very much enjoyed traveling in the motorhomes and going to Arizona and California. And they're in this town, and it's always been fun to watch them. I really learned a ton about self-control from your mom when I was with Wyra, because she was the one that would calm me down when I'd go off the deep end and want to protest and strike and pull all the cars into the park and fire it up and not go to the race. Your mom was always the calming influence on me whenever I wanted to do that. You remember what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. Because
I was too hot-headed, but all right, so your best race you saw, you actually didn't see.
Right.
But let's talk about your favorite class. Now, we go all the way back down. We go back to jalopy stocks, mini stocks, limited stocks, super stocks, late model sportsmen when they changed.
Yep.
Midgets, super modified, sprint cars. What was all those classes? Hornets? What is your favorite class? Me, touring division, whatever.
Probably, I'd have to say late models and super modifieds. I mean, if you're going to go upper tier, the years I did the late model series with Mike Youngers and
the Mountain Challenge series, fantastic.
Some of the best memories of my life. But when we went up and did State Line, and we had over 50 late models.
With the Idaho 200, you guys ran that for them, yep.
Yep, and that was a highlight, watching, just sitting there in the stands as fans, our whole officiating staff, just watching someone else put on a race, and then knowing it was our turn the next day, and then the third day, everyone got together. That was probably one of the highlights of my life, was just hanging out and watching another, just pure late model race, where you didn't know who was best, and watching them. And super mods are just such elite races that we didn't realize how lucky we were at Meridian to have them clear through the 90s, and obviously nowadays we're just trying to grab a little bit of that glory again. That's huge. And honestly, I love Hornets because I had a hand in bringing them Meridian. Kenny Hamilton did not want them; thought they were a crash them up car class, and Adam Nelson, he said, I'm going to have them. They're working, and Dearies have started it, and I like them. And my family convinced Kenny to bring them, and I think our format was just really a cool deal. We didn't have qualifying; we just had a practice at the middle, and we started them by draw. And I have such good memories of the racers that we brought up through that group.
Yes.
And currently,
pretty much everybody.
Yeah, through the track today, and I'm just like, I had a hand in that, and so that's a really good feeling.
That is pretty cool. The Hornets, you did have a lot to do with that, absolutely. And you mentioned the Dearies back east, Iowa, and so forth, and I know that you guys in Room Farm, I know we're talking about, maybe some of our guests that are watching tonight, but the Deary family owns 7, 8, 9, 10 racetracks, and they're all the ones in the center of the country that all have the car count and so forth. The Dearys are famous. They were running the yellow cars, calling them Hornets with black numbers. And all these promoters' workshops we'd go to, I got 50 of them. How many you got? I got 30. How many you got? We go, we ain't got shit. We need to get those. So Adam Nelson, being progressive-minded as he is, he, of course, wanted those and got them out of Chaparral. And Kenny had to follow suit because he saw that they didn't cost him anything, and they brought in a lot of the back gate, and then they were something that people wanted to watch. Got people out of the stands into the cars.
I can tell you that I know we're going to talk about it in a minute, but one of my favorite memories I made this year was the fan interaction I got with the group. So I obviously in Salt Lake, I was, we'll cover that in a minute, but I was trying to figure out how to get fan interaction. How do we make people want to go to the racetrack? Because now I've flipped from being a driver or an official where I'm just a promoter. I'm like, what can we do to get people to go? And Hornets, we did some things down there, but they were always the trick class. I remember one night we had It's going to turn a long-winded story, obviously. But we had a race-off. So we ran a race. We took the top 5 after. We're like, okay, 1 lap, and the loser's out. So you had 5 wide starting, and then we paid, like $400 to win. And that grandmother won it. And it was an awesome promotion, and the crowd just went nuts. So my highlights this year were just trying to build that interaction between a normal class at Meridian and the fans that came. And one of the highlights was the 4th of July when we just turned out all the lights.
Oh.
And when we got people to pull out their cell phones and do that, I mean, it's just like,
It was cool.
it just clicked. It's like, okay, it's working. I mean, it was an aha moment, like, okay, we could do something out of this. And just spur of the moment, something that Brent and I put together, and it worked perfectly. When Brent did the wave and had everyone, I just was like, I could have died right then. I just got ahead of it. It was perfect.
Yeah. So we talked about favorite class, and we talked about something else. I can't remember now. Anyway, talked about a couple of favorites. Growing up, maybe before you got into the sport, or maybe when you did get into the sport, is there one driver that you admired the most, maybe?
So it's kind of funny because it wasn't my stepdad, which people would assume was Kenny Bowers. And those that have been around know Kenny's name, but Kenny was such a gentleman and a sportsman racer, and he always tried hard, but Jerry obviously kicked his butt.
Jerry kicked everybody's ass.
No one could touch Jerry at all for driving. And Kenny always, he had the petty challenger, and he did things, but afterwards, I remember him just being the nicest guy. He always remembered my name, and I was like, 7 or 8 years old. So he was my favorite driver, and that's who I followed.
Mine too.
And again, it's funny how life turned around, because last Friday we went to Speedway and we're lining up the Meridian Lights Parade, and Kenny comes in, he's kind of overseeing stuff, or just hanging out and just watching. I'm not sure which, but we had a great conversation in the pit wreck, 30 years later, 40 years later.
But, looking back at Kenny Bowers, I got to say this really quickly. He's pretty much the epitome of his father. He was very much like Don was, and his mom, because they're sweet people. They're my family, my wife's family, and we get into that. I got a couple questions here off the old question. All right, Alicia Spohr.
Okay.
Great official in her own right.
Right.
Yes,
And
and
a lot of
been there for
knowledge.
many years.
She has a question. While you're talking about Dan's favorites, who's your favorite official? Wink, wink.
Well, Alicia, obviously.
Alicia Spohr.
You gotta go that way.
She probably had that coming. If you look at the series that you've worked with, I'm gonna talk about the series that you worked with, and we'll talk about tracks that you worked with during the race seasons, at least. I'm gonna say the ones that I know: Rocky Mountain Challenge Series, Intermountain Pro 4 Challenge Series, Western States Sprint Car Tour. What was that? The Western States Super Modified Tour. NSR. WMRA.
They were a little bit before my time.
ISRL. You felt that, of course.
Yeah.
Rocky Mountain, or excuse me, Royal Purple Modified Series. I know those fuckers. What am I missing? Who else? SRL, Lucas Oil Modified Series.
Pro Truck Series.
Pro Truck Series. Yeah, Randy Kerr, my best buddy. Who else?
I think you about got them all.
So the series. Let's talk about tracks that you've been to and worked at. Let's go State Line, Meridian, Twin Falls, Rocky Mountain Raceways,
Yakima.
Roseburg, Yakima.
Boy, you get around.
We've been to Monroe.
Yep. Umatilla? Hermiston?
Yep.
Hermiston? Carson City with the Super Modifieds. Good Lord. Those are tracks that you've been an official at minimum. Hawaii Motorcycle Club. I don't think you ever did Caldwell Indoor.
Topher Classic.
The Topher Classic. Yeah,
First annual. I was involved in that one. The first annual Dirty Cup. We did that one. I mean,
yeah, so a lot of stuff. So fantastic, Alicia. Good question. Mike Davis wants to know how bad it sucked for you when your Hornet Enduro, when you had the thing won and the car gave up a couple laps to go. And I got to tell you, I was pitting for Dan that race. So we were kind of helping him out a little bit, and Dan had a 2-lap lead on everybody, lap lead in his prelude. And he went down the front chute and got pinched. And what happened, Dan?
well,
Well, we both know what happened. Tell the truth.
So here's the deal. I was actually 2 laps down Leonard Reed almost the whole race. I just let him run and was just doing my own pace, and finally got in the groove, and so it was time to go.
Leonard Reed, rest in peace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I recognize Leonard. So I was actually started running down, and I realized with about 75 to go that I had some. I was full lap behind, and I had some ground to make up. So I just started running a nice groove, and I had him within reach. He was actually with about a quarter lap. Wow, I can't believe you got this racing memory out of me. So, and Mr. Brian Hyde had come out of the pits on new rubber or something when he was the first one all day that could actually pull me out of corner, and I just didn't look. I didn't, and I got turned right in the wall. And the
front
car,
chute of Meridian Speedway.
And hard. I mean, it was not an easy hit, and so the car basically was mangled, and we still ran Leonard down, and we were faster than him at the end. And someone rolled and lost their key at ignition. Believe it or not, Hornets, right? So someone rolled and they couldn't find a key to put it back in gear or start it or whatever. So I sat there overheated under the
Why did you overheat, Dan?
Well, because the battery was like bent all the way back into the water tubes.
And the wire to the fan, because we found it later, the wire to the fan was actually shorting out.
Yeah.
And you talk about heartbreak.
So it was my favorite race, obviously. I mean, 250 laps, and I ran that thing and melted it right to the. Yeah. We still finished 4th because we got the laps in.
It was done because it's done. I'm like, it's done. Oh shit, crush it, it's done.
Isn't it funny that a little race like that was like your best favorite memory?
Oh, it was fun. I remember my Hornet races when, at Chaparral when I had the thing won and we popped the tire and it finished in 3rd to Leroy and then Rob Miller. Absolutely. I had that thing won, gone. I was lapping the lead.
So here's an unknown fact that those of my friends probably know this, but so my racing career, I only won one main event. It was a big night because I was the energy release driver of the month and I got the award, and then I went out and won first race. I finished 2nd 23 times.
Oh, gee, talk about a bridesmaid.
Wow. So I remember one race on Bomber, I got in the lead, and generally always timed in fast heat. So and back then it was like really hard to make.
It was 30 cars. It was tough.
So I'm leading, and I thought that I had it covered, and I remember taking the restart green. I'm like, okay, I got this to cover. And here comes Melissa on the inside, like nothing. I mean, just like I'm sitting still. I'm like, really, how does that happen? So I just basically gave her the win, and she deserved it. But it was like one of those that of course, I finished 2nd. Like, well, I'm just destined. That's just the way it's going to be.
A couple more things. Let's get back here to the questions that we have. Doug McGarva says, want to thank you, Mr. Dan, for coming up with the crazy ideas you come up with for the bomber class. Alicia's very happy she's your favorite official. And I thought I was, Alicia. I'm sorry.
I know I'm his favorite driver.
I'm sure.
The bombers were fun to watch this year. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was a good call.
Great ideas. Yeah.
Miranda, how much does your experience as a driver play a part now you handle passionate drivers such as Miranda herself, myself, Donovan, with such great, usually always call him. I can't say anything about it, with such great patience and not seeming to hold a grudge the next week. You can actually talk about me, because Dan was molder, right, when I was racing, and there were times that I fucked up. Can you talk about any of those things that you handle now as an official that were maybe some things as a driver you remember?
Well, it's because I spent so much time in the pit area. I mean, because I was just like anyone else. We'd get there at 11 o'clock. Those are days that they didn't open the pit gate. So we'd all wait in line quarter of the road and okay, we've got to hustle in, unload our stuff because we always parked on the fence. So I've been through all that. I know. And when I got to RMR, I actually had to train the officials. Like, you have any idea how many millions of things are going through a racer's mind? I mean, we've all done it. So you get there. Well, when do I get my pit pass? How many people do I have to buy for? How many, my family going to be in the stands?
I got to charge the battery.
Yeah,
right.
Charge the
battery.
battery.
Set my toe. I got to freaking
change a tire that I didn't get changed.
Is my stagger right? It's odd, so I got to change this.
Did that guy bring my gears?
Right.
All that kind of stuff.
I mean, just a million things that a driver going through. So you have to go through that to understand what's going on in the driver's mind that day. So, and I was called a social butterfly even back when I raced. I won sportsman like 5 years in a row. So I'm like, I was the guy that just go do it. So it was awesome. But so when I'm doing with someone, I'm like, put yourself in those shoes. How bad was their day? You know, geez, I realize your car just got destroyed on the track, but you know, you get them next week, or it just wasn't your night. When I say in the pit meeting, hey, if you're getting the blue flag, just pull over and let them go. Be a sportsman. It's not your night. Next week it might be, or a year down the road. So that I really put myself in their place, because I've been there and I've lived through it and I've heard it all. You know, all those years I pitted for my stepdad and watched racing. It's really easy to do.
I've got to say, with Dan, probably a lot of his success, or probably all of your success, is how you approach a lot of these drivers. You know,
Calm.
Very professional.
Takes deep
know.
breaths before he talks to anybody. Thinks it through before he says something. Where I can learn from that tremendously. And the guys who run with us absolutely would understand that. 'Cause there's times that I'm mad at this situation, and it comes across that I'm mad at them. We have that every race, it seems, in Magic Valley Speedway, right? I'm mad because the dirt crew can't clean up rocks, or I'm mad at this, I'm mad at that. And I look at the driver and in my head, I'm saying, hey, just be cool. Just be cool for a minute, because the track's shitty, and they think I'm saying, hey, you're a dumbass, pointing to my head. And stuff like that I can learn from Dan. Dan, tell the story. Okay, we both have a common friend, good friend of ours, happens to be a little bit mental sometimes. His name's Spank. We love him to death, and he's watching tonight, I'm sure. I dumped him. Right?
You didn't just dump him, you like scrubbed him off the wall, you just run him straight in the wall.
No, that's not the one I'm talking about. This is a different one, right? When he was blocking like a motherfucker, and I spun him out of 2. Do you remember the story?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't remember that as well as the trophy dash.
Trophy dash, I just ran the timing group and he was outside me.
That's when he's against the wall and then he ends up on top of the wall.
The fucking tie rod was broke by that, man. But no, I had a fast car. This was later on. I had a faster car, and Spank was pushing. He was chug up the track, and I finally filled the hole and said, "Fucker, you ain't coming down this time." And he came down anyway. So I spun him out down the back chute, and I'm driving by. And God damn, he spun out my best friend. And I'm like, "Fuck!" So I come down the back chute, and I'm pointing at myself. Me. And Dan's like, "Yes, you." Get your ass to the back. And of course, I almost got beat up by Spank's dad at the end when I came in the pits with a wrench. But what do you do? I mean, handling that kind of stuff, Dad's like, well, of course it was your fault. You were pointing yourself. It was a pretty easy call.
If we had a roof tap, you'd have just gone right to the back, and you would have accepted blame, and you know.
Oh, yeah. I should have waited and passed him the next 10 laps in the next corner.
You kind of see it to this day also. Some of these drivers that actually will start a wreck, they already know it, and as soon as that yellow comes out, they start dropping back to the back.
Who are those guys?
I saw Shelby do it one night. He knew it, and so they yelled like him out, and he started dropping back.
They know.
Yeah. So.
You know, and I wish that I had the experience I have now back then, because when we first took over, I was 27, started working officiating and stuff there, and it's just like. So one night I remember chasing John Nesmith around. He'd been wrecked, and he had a steering wheel. He was going to throw a steering wheel at someone.
Who was he going to beat up? Tony Whitaker.
Probably.
It was Tony Whitaker.
So I chased him around the infield and grabbed the steering wheel away, and I'm like, dumbass, what do you have to do that for? But I'm sure I was pandering to the audience and, you know, whatnot.
You tackled him in the infield. It was awesome. The football player came out dead flat. John's not a small kid.
Square it up, shoulder in, down.
Yeah. All right, more questions. Let's see. Hey, Dan. This is Jeremy down in Salt Lake. Do you know if there are going to be any 2-night shows for Hornets and when the rules will be out? No, he doesn't.
And I've got a lot of Hornet rules to ask.
Hornets were rules and stuff. That's all for the meetings. I don't know if Dan's got all those answers.
We can ask Superstock, junior late models, and what was the meeting you had Friday night?
Pepsi.
I got to ask one more question. I remember watching
Tuesday.
I remember watching Dan Briggs strap into a go-kart at Fastlane.
Yeah.
And you guys got to understand, Dan's dropped some weight over the last 10 years. And that was awesome. And him on 2 wheels going around the corners at Fastlane was something I'll never, ever, ever forget for the Jeff Russell charity race.
Get somebody showing in from Indiana.
Your old bomber was a Buick?
Yes, correct. Buick Skylark.
Yeah, just like Grandma's car over here.
Yep, and interchangeable with Chevelle, so we stole some front fenders and things.
That's illegal in that class.
Probably.
Make to make, but...
Hello, Jeff Schindler from Indiana. We appreciate you. Schindler. Jeff Schindler.
Schindler's List.
Jeff,
what'd you call him?
Dude. Wow. Do you even know?
I'm sorry, Jeff. I didn't mean that. Let's see. Dan, let's see. Next thing. 2018 highlights. This year, if we talk about highlights, just like 2017, we are right in the middle of a golden age of awesome racing. I'm telling you what, 2017, I didn't think we'd get any better with the all-time track records and that kind of stuff. 2018 was freaking cool. We did our recap show, the last 2 shows that we had, but we didn't have Dan here. Dan, for 2018, what were your highlights? What were the things that you stand out? I know some of them have to be Hornets.
Mm-hmm.
They're not what we would say. Tell me what you're thinking.
Well, the starting of the bomber class and Adam bringing back the name was huge to me, because obviously that was the name of the class that I raced in. So that was huge, and that one night we had 16 of them. So you have to remember, I don't really get to watch the racing that often in my new role. So as far as racing goes, there's very few races I actually got to watch, but number one was being back at Meridian. It was a pleasure. My role is interesting, and technically I'm the operations manager, but Adam 10 years ago when I went back and started helping him get Meridian started and whatnot, it was to be a fireman. And you're like, fireman? Well, you're not out there fire crew anymore. No, a fireman's designation at the racetrack is you cover all the holes. So you have anyone missing, or you're really short a spot or something like that nature, you go cover the holes. And I think that's probably what I'm best at. I've seriously worked at every position at the racetrack. I actually got to infield announce back in 12, I think. That was the last thing I'd never done, and I was talking about the strategy behind the cone and what the leaders are going to take and stuff. And so that was seriously the highlight, is actually getting to do that for a little bit, because I'm so shy and so quiet that I just go, it's not my wheelhouse, you know.
Great.
Yeah.
But this year just being back and being around friends. The one thing that was shocking to me was how many new faces there were in 5 years. A lot of people didn't know me, didn't know what I was about. Right. It's pretty interesting to see the dynamics of how things change.
Mm-hmm. So it was one race night that stuck out. You and I sitting in the infield watching that Claimer race on Trunk or Treat was pretty cool. That was a good race for me. Probably the 114 cars on a Friday night and 117 on a Saturday night.
That was so bonkers.
Fantastic Pro 4 race the night before.
Oh, absolutely.
Fantastic Royal Purple Modified race. And then when you sit down and you look at, we talked about that. I don't know if you watched that show, but we talked about Colton's 2 wins. Yeah, that was my highlight. I mean, incredible watching those races.
So, and being a part of that, when you get done with the weekend and you actually sit there and when I'm off the clock, I have a beer. That's my sign that I'm done for a night. I don't have to deal with any more people or questions. And you think about what we accomplished that weekend, and yeah, we were late both nights, but for the mass amount of cars and volume of racing we put on, it was amazing.
It's okay to be late when you have that kind of show.
Right.
I mean, you get some the quality of the event covered the sins of being a half hour late.
Yeah. Yes.
And we tried like hell to run a tight ship Saturday night.
And we did. Well, you really did. But the volume, and when you have 18 cars starting to be made, it's going to take an hour. I mean, because it's just going to.
And that was that, and the old timers crashed a few. And but you know what? I tell you what. I mean, even you two guys.
That Friday night when he what was the car? The vintage that got wrecked out Friday night.
It seems like every year though.
But you guys, no, this guy was a big. They hooked it off. It was bad.
On purpose, I don't involve you guys in that kind of deal. You see my stress level go up when you're working for me with the Royal Purple Mods, but Dan and Adam and I have a little kinship. We look at each other. How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? And we even yell at each other all the time.
I love yelling.
But we handle it and we go on. It's not personal. It's a fucking deal. But we look at each other and we can almost tell just by eyeballs how we doing. Because we know that we have a product we're selling to the people in the stands, and they pay good money to come watch a good event. And also, our biggest customer, my biggest customer, to be honest, the drivers. And I want to make sure they don't get laps taken away. It hurts me every time I have to cut laps. So, and it does Dan too. And we know that we don't want to do it. And so we look at Adam and he goes, we're good. We stayed green one time during a race this year, and Adam hit me on the back and says, "Great job, staying green." As long as we don't crash anybody into it, I guess that's pretty good.
Absolutely. You know, and one of the highlights this year too is just working with Adam in a different role. I feel like we were peers because of my role at Salt Lake, and just the confidence we have in each other and whatnot. That was really a new experience for me, and I enjoyed that.
It's been cool to watch. You know, from my vantage point, coming in as a series and as a friend to both of you, very good friend to both of you. Watching you come in and watching you guys mesh, and that little smirk you guys get where you got a plan, and knowing that they got it handled, and I don't have to worry about it. This is going to be cool. And, you know, I'm a fan first, and that's pretty cool. Jeff Scheidler, appreciate you very much. Got your name right. Kyle Latham brought up a good point. Just a reminder that the Dirt Track Banquet is Friday night, December the 14th. There's still tickets left. You can get them while you can. And it's on the board. Thank you, Donna, for posting that. Next question from Chase. Any news on Fan Choice TV for next year? I don't see why you changed that.
No, we're still go for that.
Are there going to be actual people manning it correctly and actually videoing the racing that's going on?
Do I ever volunteer there? I think
I'm busy.
No, he's got the Donovan John series.
The Donovan John's modified series is coming out.
First.
The Donovan John's race
And then he'll do
show.
Donovan John's TV productions. after
Right?
that.
Yes.
No, I'm busy.
That's fucking awesome.
But I'm just saying.
As much as he bitches about everybody else's shit, we can't wait for him to do his own shit, right?
No, you can imagine that's a pretty. That's actually a position I have not filled. I have absolute zero desire because that's a no-win situation. It's like, well, my car's in fourth, and you haven't showed it. Oh, you showed us you know, and everyone's got an opinion of what you should be showing and whatnot. And but it's just a matter of help. It's just a matter of finding a person that's willing to think about 31 weekends / events, and just finding a person to slot those every night proved to be very difficult.
Right.
So that's behind the scenes that no one ever
that
hear.
That could be a hint Wyra thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Wouldn't it be awesome if all you had to do was get a Wyra volunteer to be scheduled to be up there?
Well, you know, it was nice having Sean.
Yeah.
And
Sean was amazing.
Sean could do
and
James is busy
Paul,
racing.
right? And when Chase was up there, he manned it pretty well.
Yeah, great job.
Chase Parker did a handful of shows.
Right.
Did a good job up there.
Doug McGard also asked, how about a Hornet versus Bomber figure 8? And I'm
Figure
thinking, well, we got a
eight.
dirt track and another racetrack. That would be kind of hard.
Well, no, what you do is you have them kick in on the backstretch into the dirt track, come around the dirt track,
they've already
kick back
thought
out.
about it. I tell you, these two guys have sat around and thought about anything like that.
I'll
So
say it's
speaking of the dirt track,
Stay
speaking
tuned.
of the snow track and the
Yes.
dirt track that we currently have
Yes.
available to us, let's talk about winter heat.
So
This is something kind of cool because
Oh.
we have the ability in this market, and this isn't everywhere in the country. We have enough fan involvement. We could probably do a year-round racing. And Dan and Adam have come to the idea that winter heat wouldn't be a bad idea to have a run what you bring kind of fun deal, keep some money coming in during the winter, and also keep some people racing and have the itch to want to race in the winter. A lot of them are the cars that we race, not the race cars. But tell us about the winter heat and how that came about.
So Adam and I are talking, you know, a practice night, some nights we have 30 cars show up. I mean, for a practice, this is craziness. But we actually started sitting down and thinking about, okay, well, we've done the dirt track in the past and tried to do a winter series there, but half the time or 3/4 of the time it's washed out or froze out or there just was problems with the dirt. And we're very proud of a good product. So we talked about, well, dirt's not going to work, so we actually talked about go-karts on the pavement. Well, we don't want to get anyone hurt. Obviously, we've seen what happens on a quarter and everything. So then the talk kind of turned into, well, what we could do for race cars. I mean, we don't really look at it like putting on a race. Like, we're there, we're going to open up, and we're going to run a format, but we're really going to leave the racing up to the racers. It's like, I don't know how many were actually at the pit meeting, but so we have a yellow. We're no longer calling a lineup for the winter heat. It's gentleman's agreement. Hey, you get who you think you are. If you think someone's past you, you get beside them, we'll look at you. Otherwise, it's all gentleman's agreement. We're going to bring back gentleman racing to the speedway. So I'm actually, I don't know the proper term for that.
General driver.
There you go, general driver.
Which is an oxymoron.
I was going to say, there's nothing gentle about women. Donovan drives out there. I'm just kidding.
Some of the women, I've never seen they've been gentle either.
Right.
Yeah, some of the women are the roughest drivers.
Well, I think we have one watching
I know,
who's
she's
well known for her
the killer T-bird.
for the literally.
That's
Doug?
right. So
Randy,
and
go.
then we're also, I know that the tap rule gets some negative.
I love the tap rule. I'm a pro
you can
tap
have
rule.
the fucking tap rule.
In the Donovan John modified series.
Yeah, I can't wait. I spent
I'll be
2
sold
fucking
out
weekends
every fucking
handling
week.
tap rule.
I'll be the first in line to get tickets for that one, buddy.
There we go.
But I actually did it for 5 years at Salt Lake. If it's done properly, it actually works out.
If it's done properly, there we
If
go.
you can shame a driver into being a
It's not listening.
sportsman,
I like it. Shame the driver. Shame. That's what we're missing.
And
More
then when-
driver shame.
Shame. Ding, 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 ding. Shame. Ding, ding, ding.
We're gonna make them
someone
walk
does it,
around
you just
naked through the pits.
praise the hell out of
Shame.
them, and you say, "Hey, you did a great job."
You can
Everyone
walk
appreciates
naked
it.
through the pits. Game of Thrones.
So we're just doing some things like that, and obviously the first one, we car count was not there, but we're like, hey, we're open.
We had a crazy fun time though.
Oh, we have.
Dude, that was a hoot.
The laughter in the pit area
Oh my
was
God.
worth everything we did. I mean,
I
it's
got
just-
there at right before noon. It was 11 something, and I didn't leave until my feet were numb,
Mhm.
and it was awesome.
Yep.
I had a great time at that.
And everyone's like, well, 50 laps, that's a long time. I mean, no bomber or Hornet ever gets 50 laps. They all went green checker. We never threw a
Right,
yellow
no.
flag all day
But
long.
other than, what was the one time, was it Durban and the other car got together? Oh, no, it wasn't Durban. Who was it got turned sideways and saved it in the front stretch?
I can't remember if they
Oh
saved
my
it.
God! No, they saved it. It went in the dirt. They just pitched them sideways, got it corrected, and kept
I got a
going.
question. So let's say it's supposed to snow like Wednesday and Thursday.
Awesome.
Is that
Let's do
just
it.
we're not doing shit to the
Bring out the late models.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, bring out sprint car on 8-inch rubber. Let's
Now,
go.
now wait. Now are they running 970s or are they running DOTs?
They're running under 80-inch tire.
Any 8-inch tire? Because I thought it was a DOT tire. Any 8-inch.
Huh?
I don't fucking know.
8-inch DOT is what the rules say.
Yeah. Yeah. See.
Mark Floyd wants to know when the 2019 schedule will be released. Mark, at the car show.
Car show has always been, for as long as I've known it.
I'm tired of people trying to do it in December. I get
Evergreen
asked.
posted there, so-
This is no shit. I get asked 8 times a day. When is your schedule coming out?
There's an automated
Sometime in
texting
February.
service, everybody. I will post the link up. Feel free to sign into it. It will text him multiple times per day the exact same question.
So I'll
I
tell
got
you
this
one,
for you.
one of the highlights really this winter has been the excitement that I don't know if I bring it to Adam or Adam just shares and we both get excited. Just sitting there and he's working on stuff and we start throwing ideas at each other. But we both have a lot of years in the promotion deal now, and so by the time we walk out of the room, we're ready to go, knock down a few trees or something because we have so much energy. And
I had an
excitement.
idea at a race at the end of the year.
Here we go. The Donovan series.
Right?
You can have a race at the
It's for promotions. Run with it if you will.
It might not.
April, one of the Saturdays in April, falls on the 20th.
How about the
And
13th?
Wouldn't it be awesome to have a lawn company sponsor Going Green on 420?
Well, my idea went to right to lawnmower racing. I mean,
No, he's talking about.
Yeah.
We could have Dylan's sponsor show up.
I know! I mean, come on! How is that not a thing? That's a sellout crowd.
yep.
You want to put a your concessions are through the fucking roof.
The Weed Man. Weed
Right.
Man 250.
That was the Weed Man who sponsored one of the last races of the year, and I texted him, I'm like, oh my god, this has got to happen. I mean, literally, you're going to put 6,000 people in the stands. You'll have no food left at the end of the night. You're
I
going to
can
make
only
millions.
imagine the letters we get from people. Oh my God, I can't believe you're doing
Worth
that.
every
But the
penny.
stands are full.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Because, I mean, come on. I'm going to be there.
You can have a sample table, probably.
Exactly.
Mike Davis says he won the first inaugural Donovan series.
Right? He did. He won that.
Nobody gets it from us.
He's the he's a 3-time champion of Defunct Series.
The defunct series.
I think it's a Mike Davis thing.
So speaking of winter heat, we have one next weekend, right?
We do.
Yeah,
Coming
so
up.
it's
So
on.
if it's going to snow, all the
Go for
better.
100 laps, I think I saw somewhere.
100 lap enduro.
Yeah.
Mini Enduro.
Minis, only mini stocks?
No, Mini Enduro. Enduros are 250, so we're just doing
Oh,
100.
okay.
Yeah.
Will there be any backwards racing?
No. This is about racing. This is not about.
In the snow.
I already promised.
It's about
that-
racing in the snow.
Yeah.
That's what,
Right.
He just said that.
I
It's-
just
They're
promised.
not
Hornets
race
and
cars,
Bombers.
the cars that we race in the
In the
snow.
snow. But it's about racing.
So by the end of the year, that those two classes were used to Adam and my shenanigans and doing
I hadn't noticed. Were they
circles
used
and
to it?
stuff. Well, they like So,
It
Austin
spins on the
Bland, I
back
hope he
sheet.
doesn't mind me using him, but he's like, can we please run a regular race like you do in the heat races? We leave you alone. And then I did a stop sign race.
Yeah, you can
then
be
I
good.
love the stop sign race.
You can get dude,
My
I
favorite
gotta
ball
tell
and
you,
hornet race of the year is watching you
all
run.
right, me and Thunder Penis were in the stands watching that, right? We were 90% shit faced. And you were like 5 feet off the fucking asphalt with the stop sign. I'm like, Breach, get your ass behind that golf
I'm
cart.
like, haven't we not preached safety every fucking week?
I
And
thought
here's
Miranda was
Breach.
going to get me. I really did.
oh, by your life.
Well, you notice I
I'm
said
dying.
got Andrew to take my place on the next
I
one. I'm like,
did.
you're done. I'm out. I'm not going to get run over.
I'll get you the light you can turn on and off.
The-
You can be
the-
like the automatic arm with the flag stand, right?
The history of football makes sense because man, you turned and ran like a freaking linebacker. You're like, gone.
I knew.
Bad will there he goes.
But here's the deal. If I wasn't that close, you couldn't get your
Right.
reaction.
Yeah.
That's all about crowd reaction and how we interact with them. I mean,
At least wear the neon yellow vest, man.
So
well, no, at one
Floydo says he's running 3 different series in March. He's hard to plan it.
So Mark-
I'm sorry, Mark.
Mark, so Mark, I'm waiting for 3 different series and 2 racetracks to announce your schedule because
Right.
I need to plan my year.
Each
The Royal Purple Modified Series will be out no later than January 15th because that's about the time that we always have our meeting, right? And I announce the schedule every year. So you'll have plenty of time to plan around. And I want you to run every damn one.
I will.
Yeah.
I was talking about Mark. He has a modified.
Oh, Mark has a
We'll
modified.
be there with you.
So the hard part about RMR was they wanted to schedule.
Hope you will. You better be there with me.
They're on their own thing. Come on,
I know,
let's just
I love
do
you.
this. Here,
But
watch.
you
I'm
can't
gonna turn
go
them off
anywhere.
real
It's
quick.
fine.
I prioritize you and then
See, everybody tried to steal DJ from me.
Mike Hunter
Hey,
tried.
the Donovan Johns
But-
modified
Mike
series needs an answer.
I'll tell you how you handle Mike Hunter. You cut him his Achilles just on below the ankle
Now,
there.
Mike-
You have to give up the
Mike and I had a talk on the phone. He understands that I'll be announcing as many as I can.
4.
on-
Are you doing that series too?
Yeah,
Oh,
Broken
God.
Alliance
Yeah.
series, yeah.
Do
He's
you
in the
not
pro-
want a life?
Right?
I'm going to find out next year.
And
I won't
don't you have a truck?
Randy's gonna be mad at me next year too. I think.
So DJ, I want you to listen to this for a minute, okay? So second year of the Rocky Mountain Series, Mike, we exploded from 9 races to 13 because everyone had to have us. We were a cheap show. So my pal Todd decides he wants to run a Pro 4 Series. So he recruits me and says, "Hey, this will be easy. I'll do it
spanking
every off weekend, right?
Every off week.
26 straight weekends. 26 straight.
And they made me fly them to places like Madeira and State Line.
Jeez.
I had to fly them. That's what I did for my officials.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Because I'm not sitting in a car that long because I'm prima donna.
Give him
But Miniger never flew him shit. That's not true. You flew to Salt Lake.
Yes.
Wow, good story.
Yeah.
So
It's
when
my
you
story.
get up to 26 weekends, we'll talk.
Yeah, I know. By about July, I'll be coming to you again. So I'm going to get myself into.
I remember running Roseville in the 80s, and I think we ran like 24 races a year back in the 80s.
Mhm.
And that by the end of the year, being in high school, it was like, fuck this is done. We're done.
Well, our parents raced 28 nights
Yeah.
at Meridian. I mean,
No
that's
problem.
there was only 4 classes, and that's what
Yeah.
you ran.
Yeah, I think we had 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the tour series that come in like once or twice a year that you never saw, and fuck.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so tired of doing body work.
Our big races was the Northwest Superstock Association, Walt Ayling, and who was the kids? Guys from Spokane came, and all those guys came. Don Dowdy. And
Garrett Evans came.
Garrett Evans
I didn't
came.
realize how much Garrett Evans remembers about Meridian until sitting with him at work a month ago.
Yeah.
I mean, he remembers Don's Bower Shell and the Frontier
Nice.
Club and
The
Frontier
Frontier Club.
He does.
At least think of something good about Meridian.
No. Wait a minute.
For
wait
the
a minute.
Frontier Club fans,
Watch
I
your
apologize.
mouth. The Frontier Club in those days was a beautiful establishment. When Mo bought that, it went downhill. When Adam's family ran that was a beautiful.
I didn't move here until 2003, so take
It's-
my
well,
word.
You ought to
You're
go
California.
visit it again. Just a
I'm
shameless
military.
plug.
I'm not
They
California.
they've really totally redone it. So
Did they?
It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Talk to them back.
When Ruth ran that and Dan, that was a very nice facility. And the Frontier Club had great food, and for all those years that we're talking about, it was a wonderful place to go.
Nice.
So careful.
Doug McGarvin, that's a question.
Dougie.
Is the Enduro just a Hornet Enduro?
Enduro.
Next
Yes.
coming Yeah, just forwarded to Doug. So,
Okay.
Doug, I've got a
Doug got the wrong kind of car.
Doug, I've got a
Yeah,
Hornet.
Doug.
I'll probably get inside joke between Doug and I. Anyway,
$500 to win the Hornet Enduro.
When is that?
That's what somebody's
Saturday.
telling everyone.
Oh, this Saturday.
Yep.
Nice. Hey, everyone listening for the Winter Heat. 500 to win.
That's what Adam announced at the last
Killer T-Bird, Disco T-Bird, whatever.
The disco T-bird, yeah.
It's
4,800 pounds of metal love.
Yeah, the black tonnage of death.
No, that's more than a ton. That's like 2.5 sliding
Like a
at
black
you.
hooker. The black tonnage of death. So Miranda asked if we could bring the bombers out for the Enduro. She might dig that thing out.
Do it, Miranda. I'll give you $25.
And Cindy Cap says she's looking
If
forward
there's
to
an
the
open
Boise
class.
Bath and Kitchen Winter Heat on Saturday. Good.
That's correct.
There's a.
We got a sponsor for it.
Yes.
Fantastic. Great.
I think the T-Bird would do fantastic in the open class. Run what you brung.
I think so too.
Doug McGregor.
So yeah, Michael and
And Doug
Cindy
same
came
thing.
on board. They really, in fact, the morning of the first event, we sat in the office and talked about what the vision was and stuff. And Michael was very kindly came on board and said, "I believe in what you guys are doing," and
That's
signed on. It was really cool.
A couple of questions came over on my phone from Jess Riska, since he's the ambassador. He says he's mild. Well, that's
He
not
mentioned
true.
something. He mentioned something.
How do you handle the drivers that don't do anything wrong? And I know this because there was one year where I got spun out like 7 times by one driver, and I wanted to kill the fucker. And Dan had called me down. He came down and told me, he goes, you showed a lot of patience not beating shit out of that guy, not being a real issue. Dan handled it. I went up to him one night and I said, you handle it or I will. And he says, I handled it. And he handled it. And so Dan does come down and tell you great job when you are that guy. He respects that too. And that's one of the things that I think everybody would agree, that when you are doing the best you can and not causing problems. I know that he's done that with Ken Chandler many times, because Ken Chandler is a promoter's dream, right? He is. And he's gone down and told Kenny, thank you for all that you do. Dan does that. And there's very few that do that. Adam will do that, sure. I wish other promoters did. So, in that regard.
Do you remember what Joe Delafield? I feel like one of the greatest deals he did for Todd and I, and it's something that stuck with me for a really long time. So we did the Pro 4 deal at State Line. Joe Delafield.
They had like 8 super stocks and R30 plus Pro Force. That's all the show was.
I've been eyeballing those, though, and I don't have a way to open them.
I'm gonna watch Todd break.
I even looked. I looked all over the counters over here. I'm bottle openerless. I got nothing, bubs.
Well, the show's running fine. Go get a fucking bottle. You haven't sucked it up in a while.
Hey, I resemble that remark.
Yeah, you know.
It's not gonna work.
You don't know the chain?
We're gonna watch this disaster.
Yeah.
It's not gonna fucking work. I'm gonna go inside the damn house.
Talk about
give me the
Sidewalk
Guinness.
Slim. Let's talk about
Well,
Joe.
hold on.
And it was good to see him at Warper, wasn't it?
It was.
Oh, he's a gentleman.
So-
I love him.
I like
Rules
that.
are what I want to get into. What's
We're not-
changed?
let's not
What
gonna do
hasn't
rules.
changed?
Next.
No, because
Let's go to
we
the
have
meeting,
3 classes, 4 classes.
Go to the meeting.
That have already been done. Like,
Didn't you go to the meeting?
I
We haven't
know.
had a meeting yet.
Just need to know.
No,
And
for
you don't need
the
to know.
super stocks, for the Pepsi sprints, I'm sure we have fans who need to watch.
Okay, 2 seconds. I'll finish Joe's story.
Yeah, we're
Okay,
talking about
yeah.
Joe.
I'm gonna go get some beer. Hand me the Guinness. It's right.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Thank you.
I saw was Voodoo Ranger.
That's a warm Guinness. You're gonna die. Next.
Anyway.
It's a soup. you
So
like a meal.
we put on this show, and literally Joe had like 4 hours of practice, and I'm like, 4 hours? You don't need it. But that's what they run at State Line. 4 hours, tracks open. So we cut it up. Put on our event. It was okay. It wasn't. I'm always a pessimist about my event. I'm perfectionist, not a pessimist. Everything's got to be perfect. So I walk over, and there's like 2 cases of Coors in Todd's trailer. I'm like, wow,
All big fucking bottles
huge.
and cold, ice covered.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and I said, Todd, what's that? He said, oh, Joe said good job and brought us beer. I'm like, are you kidding me? Somehow that stuck in my mind forever. What a
He
good
came
promoter
walking up
does.
with the back of his
Yeah.
truck,
Yeah.
dropped the tailgate, had all that beer, and said, "Where's that promoter guy?"
Yeah.
And I said, "I'm over here, and we're dead because it's August in State Line. We're fucking hammered. I mean, we're done. We had a lot of shit that day. We were fast." And he goes, "Damn good job tonight. Make sure all your guys get some beers." And they were the big fucked up 24-ounce cans that they sell up there, in that part of the country. And you open the top, and it's like you're opening like You need 10 snips. But they were thirsty. They were good.
Yeah. But as a promoter, he didn't need to do that. But it was just sincerity, and I wish I could grab part of that and share that.
Yeah. The one thing that my long-lasting memory of Dan will be, and I've talked to Dan about this a few times, last year when Bob Copley brought me to RMR to announce for the very first time as an Invitational Pro 4 race. Never met Dan before, but we met for the first time, and he took me and he showed me around the place. You know, here's where you're going to be announcing, here's where this is at, here's where... I've been to RMR before, but he actually took me in the cart and showed me around. He's never met me before. We met for the first time, and that's... You know, that impressed me quite a bit. And Dan's, you know, a people person, and I appreciate that. So
I used to be a lot better. You know, the older I'm around, and but I recognize that something they really said at Reno, the antibiotic, you got to treat everyone like they've never been to a place before. And I forget that sometimes. Like, I haven't been around for 40 years or whatnot. But we got to treat every person in our audience or every person in the pit area like they've never been there before.
Right, because he's going to stand up like a kid who's got to go pee. Talk to us about the 3 rules meetings that you've had and how they went.
I thought we just did while he's out of the room.
What?
Missed it. Sorry, next.
Dang it!
It's on the whiteboard after that.
No, rule meetings have been fun.
Has anything changed? Anything dramatic? Anything like, oh my god, what?
No.
Okay,
Honestly,
cool.
no.
That's. I didn't think anything had.
What we're
I
kind
just
of doing
did the
with
crate
this-
motor thing.
Yep. Kind of doing with Super Stocks is the new class we created, the junior late models. I called it Junior Stingers 18 times.
I've done the same thing.
Shoot myself, right? So, junior late models, they want to have some place to race. And we don't know they really fit with late models yet. So we tried to talk to supers into letting them adopt some of the rules so they can just move up into the class. And it was you know. So what happens the first time you say, well, we're going to change the rules? Everyone's like, no, I'm good, right? Don't do that. Don't change anything. But by talking to it and sharing the vision of what it could be, and that fact it'll help car count.
Yeah.
That's always the biggest deal is car count right now, facing every track, everywhere. You know.
So they're going to run them as their own division, but late models with the D2, not D-tuned, but rev chip.
They're 602s with the 2-barrel.
Yeah.
And it's got a chip limit.
So they're chipped down.
So you have to run a gear.
That's pretty cool. And that's the same thing that they're running down in Madeira for the Mad TV guys.
So Anna and I are more gear guys than we are chip limiters. I did do chips on the limited sprints, and I know how it works. You have a baggie, and you have them drawn, and they got to have them on when you do tech.
The chip can be used as traction control. You got to be really careful. When you hit the chip at the end of the straightaway, if you get it wrong, it's like traction control getting in.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of reading on the chipping, on the traction control. I've had a couple of people I've seen kind of. So I've been doing a lot of research for my own edification, which I was messaging you guys.
This weekend I was into that heavy because we had a car hit the chip last year.
Yep.
I was trying to figure out what they were doing.
Yeah, so that's things without being a part of that. I was like, well, wait, I looked at the rules that you guys were talking about. I'm like, wait, so what is and what isn't going to happen? What are enforceable things that we've talked about? Is what can you actually tech? And so then how does that play out? So, and I know a couple of guys I know are picking up junior stingers. Junior late models for their kids who I've helped with their junior stingers because they were running junior stingers. So it's something that I just try to keep my head on as I'm watching these kids who are 10, 11, 12 years old now who have ran Preludes and Accords and Neons go, hey, I'm going to get into a V8 rear-wheel drive. I can't fucking help you.
I missed the boat. We should have had the RPMS junior modified division with 602s and the 2-barrel. We should have really done that.
Well, you need driving force. Doyle Mullen's been huge because they've already been down to Madeira and raced. You need that person really pushing stuff through.
And Telford did.
Telford White.
He would have been right in that, if Zachary wasn't old enough already.
So let me share with you how I'm getting around the name deal. And Adam's going to hate me for saying this, but I call him Little Five.
Yeah? I love it.
Because that way I don't
big
mess
five,
it up.
little five.
Yeah, sure. You don't mess it up.
Because it's going to be the junior stingers.
Right?
They're all going to be junior stingers. I'm going to say it all year long. But yeah, the little 5 or the junior 5.
Yeah. Now you say junior, and I automatically say stingers. Automatically. So.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
So any other rules that came up out of those meetings?
I thought that we made a major hurdle Thursday, the Pepsi and the ISRL.
That had a lot of heat on it.
So ISRL came up with their own motor package, and we weren't really aware of it. Actually, we as a Speedway, we were aware that there was this package until we decided to tear down the motor, because it had a different sound to it. And, you know, as track people, you know, it's like, number one, it's kicking everyone's ass, and we understood that he's a hell of a driver, okay? But we wanted to look and make sure, just so we could go through what we needed to and make sure everything was fair. We've done it at different times. And that's when we found out there's different rule package, and so we just needed to meet as a track with our drivers and say, what do you want to do with this? Because we understand the track's telling you to buy 602s, and people are, and yet you feel like you're handed to you right now because of it. So we approached the drivers, we went through all the scenarios and everything, and finally at the end they voted, just leave the rule in there that says that any ISRL legal car can run with a Pepsi car. We're going to leave alone this year and do another year of it. And just move on.
So they're going to pick which rule package they like the most and build a car to that.
Right.
So then after that, we have to figure. You guys have to get an idea of where you're headed for 2020.
So is the Pepsi Sprints and the ISRL, they still different entities, or are they just kind of combining? And is their future homogenized?
Well, Adam actually promoted that this year by offering $500 if anyone could win both, which people don't remember now a year later. But we actually set aside the money for Mr. Grice because he won both championships. So we were promoting it and thought it was great. Obviously, to me, that's one of the up-and-coming classes because they actually run 17, 18 cars.
Right.
I don't know if people really realize it, but
top 3 classes to watch this year has been Junior Stingers,
minis.
Not the minis, the claimers.
Oh, claimers, absolutely.
The minis, which have been my thing since 1988, for the first time since
mention
88,
in the top 3 though.
Have just their 4th. We did not put on the best show, or the second best show, or the third best show for the first time fucking ever.
At Meridian.
At Meridian, as a class, as an entity.
Right.
But the ISRL, I got the privilege of driving one of Bachman's cars in Twin. I've loved them since I moved here. I thought they were when they were the V6s. The sound, if you talk about the sound of them, I thought they made the best sound on the racetrack.
There's something really wrong.
I'm broken. Don't worry about it.
But
it's one of those things where as more and more the crates come in, it kind of makes me a little sad. But at the same time, I love what the product that they're putting on is a superior product, and it makes me sad that I don't hear the V6. And I wish they would have opened up the V6 from just the 4.3 to allowing more and more of the modern motors, the foreign motors, and to expand that way instead of going to the crates. I think that would have been a better product. But I still love what they do week in and week out.
Right.
Their show that they put on, the drivers, the camaraderie, what they do in the pits. It's awesome.
It was very competitive this year. You had many different winners this year in that class.
And that's the deal too, is that, you know, so I want to share this. This is from the promoters end. So, you know, as a driver, everyone wants 50 laps. Right? 50 laps.
I want 75.
Well,
I know.
you get 75.
My neck hurts.
You run a series so you can
I can't wait to see the toggle pawn he fucking modified. Oh wait.
You have that thunder penis. I can't. We end up running 50 because they crash each other.
Right. So, but the deal is, as promoters, what is the best product for your fans?
Right.
And that is a race where your back car, your fastest car, can
just
lead,
make it.
And that's 25 laps. That's the magic number.
25 to 35 depends on how thick the field is and how close they are together.
Right. One of the things that we worked on really hard with the RPMS is the fact that when we have our cone restarts and so forth, we can have fast time from the full invert of 16 cars. We can have fast time with the
lap 9, lap 10.
He's lap 10. Because he got a yellow flag at lap 5. He went to the outside. Nobody else would, and he's sitting third row, second row.
Yep.
And that's one of the reasons that we went to the invert was because we know that those top 6 or 7 are going to be battling each other, top 6 or 7, without a car that's off the pace a little bit, slowing down a certain lane.
Exactly.
And it would have worked fine. I think we're going to continue that this year, even though I have some resistance on that. But we're going to continue that.
I like what you introduced at the end of last year.
I do too. It didn't work out.
Series.
We ended up having an accident early on that took out a bunch of lead lap cars, fast cars. But that was going to be our best race of the year, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah. But going back to the ISRL, the Pepsis, I agree. 25 to 35, depending on the car count. And there's a race that we had the mini stocks 4 years ago. We had 15 cars in less than half a second.
Mm-hmm.
Out of 20 cars that started, 15, first through 15, were all within a half a second. Well, I think first was like, I think it was second or third back. I mean, it was just a cluster. You couldn't have enough laps to make that play out.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you could put 100 lapper and they still would have been battling at the end.
I like the strategy because you give yourself just enough time for that guy in the back to get up to the front.
Yeah.
But you brought up a good point with your racing, Todd, about 75 laps.
Calms them down.
It gives you guys plenty of time from the back to get up to the front without wrecking.
But it didn't work.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, guys with fast cars want to be up front,
Right.
and that's my argument against
each other.
But that's my argument against a true invert on fast cars.
Right.
I have always been, since I was a kid, anti-invert on fast cars. If they're premier division, put the fuckers up front.
Mm-hmm.
They got the money in their cars. If it's the slow division, put the fuckers in the back.
So 2019 predictions, Dan. What do you see different 2019 predictions? What are we going to see? Anything that just strikes your mind that you can release or tell us, or anything that you just feel like the whole industry is going to see as a change in 2019?
Well, locally, I can tell you that Speedway's going to do some different strategy. May we just knocked out of the park between Ladies' Night and EMS Police Night. All of our strategies worked for full stands and whatnot. And then we hit July and we just kept plugging along. There was good shows. In August, we just kind of hit a lull. Mm-hmm. And what I found at RMR, especially, I could not get any fans there after Labor Day. So to bring in the crowds he was after Labor Day were fantastic. We had 2-3 huge shows.
Here at Meridian.
Yeah.
After Labor Day.
So August is going to be a little bit different. You'll see a little bit different of a schedule for Meridian, and I think that when we announce it, it'll be a big deal. It's just a different marketing strategy we're going to do. And
well, those August nights are awful hot.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's unheard.
So I think that'll be exciting. Honestly, I heard the same thing. It was a really good year for promoters because the economy's starting to shake loose, everything's working, and there were no rainouts up north. So they actually didn't suffer through rainouts. As long as you have the gates open and you're bringing people in, you don't overbook is how I call it. You don't over promote and bring in 8 different fantastic shows. Well, then you have no money. You bring on lots of people to watch them, but then you just didn't watch how much you were spending. So if anything, I've tried to teach people that you have one traveling series or one group coming in, and then you run a bunch of local stuff behind it, just in case you have that. You're on a concert, or I'm talking from experience. It's all like I could never schedule a race without being on top of something.
Well, you have the population density, where they have so many choices.
A lot of competition for business down there in Utah.
So I think I have a little bit unique experience with that. So.
I tell you what, the events where you have a lot of fan interaction, that trunk or treat thing is become my favorite event.
We need more time.
That might have been my favorite thing of the whole year.
Did we have less time this year than in years previous?
So see, I can share this because it's my experience. So yes, Adam had 2 hours booked the first year. Thing is, after 1 hour, everyone was out of candy.
We brought so much fucking candy.
I still got that candy.
I still had, we had about a shit balls of candy.
Second year was 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
and we still ran out of candy.
So we did an hour trying to, but we didn't know people, when they think of an hour, it's not like racers were at 2 o'clock, we got to be there at 2, we got to start. They're like 2 to 3, so we had people showing up 5 till 3 wanting to come through, and I'm like, well, we're done, okay, we're done, get out.
Yeah. The gates aren't open for entrance at 3. Right. No, we shut off at, I felt bad how many kids we were like, sorry guys.
I'll share this with Dan in case you didn't hear the show we did the weekend after, the day after, but I don't know that I've ever been prouder of our facility and our community.
It's great
right then.
Community as well.
Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty damn proud of our 4th of July show, so that's saying something. When you can take a 10,000 foot view like we have had with drones or with helicopters or with airplanes of our 4th of July shows and see that there's 100,000 people around the racetrack. We're all inside, we see the 4,000, 5,000 people that are there. But if you see the 100,000 that are out there watching our show and making certain that they're having a good time with their families. But that trunk or treat was cool. The weather worked.
Yeah.
We got some of those folks to cross over and come sit in the stands, but it really put our racing in a very positive light.
Yeah.
In the Meridian community, and that's
anytime you do something for kids as well.
I'd be glad to buy $100 worth of candy for that.
One of the things that I wish we had more time for in that hour was to have. We had a ton of special needs kids came through.
Isn't that cool?
I loved it, and they were so excited to see. I know we were sitting with the newcomers, but a bunch of guy had the Model T out there with Model A. A bunch of cars were decorated up, but to have that give us a little more time to set up. And then for the guys who are special, who need that extra time, and to give us time as drivers and crews and personalities to, man, thank you for coming out. To give them those extra couple of minutes was just, I love it. I love doing that.
Good job.
Yeah,
I hugged on Kelly, Joe, and Adam and told them that.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll remember.
Faces. That's the ultimate.
And you have those kind of memories forever. It's like that's what gets you through the winter, and it's just like.
Yeah.
We know that we are on the verge of having every night could be something special.
Mm-hmm.
So when you sit there in the office and you're like, what can we do? It's like the free ride night. That's something I did as a kid. I had to have my junior fan club membership to go get a free ride.
Right.
Your little green card. I
Yeah.
had my green card too.
Boys and Girls Club YMCA card, something in that.
Oh, the Easter Seals run and catch the rabbit races and stuff that we had.
So literally, they did it last year, and I asked, how come we didn't have it planned this year? It's like, well, there wasn't any time really for the schedule. Like, no, that's huge. You have a parent, a child, asking a parent to go to the racetrack, our job's done.
Well, rather than go to a movie, rather than go see grandma or whatever.
And I love the family pass setup.
Yeah.
When you talk about hours in versus dollars in, the family pass it's awesome.
And the kids free thing. It's kind of like a cliche anymore. People are taking it for granted, but that's something that needs to be over.
So I'll share with you guys one of my philosophies, and I've shared it with a few people, but I haven't ever put the word out. And I've started talking about this at the promoters workshops and all that. You think about it, we are fighting as a racetrack for one weekend out of the month. And people are like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, so you as a family, let's say family unit, 2 parents and 3 kids. You're going to go to the movies one weekend. You're going to go camping one weekend, or stay home, work on the house one weekend. So really, what are we fighting for? We're fighting for that one weekend of entertainment dollar to try to get people to go to the racetrack. And if they come and they have a bad time, or it's hot or something,
or it's a less than stellar show.
Yeah, is that really going to be in their month choices the next month?
Yeah, their $50 they're going to spend that night for the family to go out.
So we need to think about our promotions. The family unit's like, hey, let's go to the races tonight. And it's like, oh, the kids go, yeah, we had a really great time. And I really think that that's what we as promoters have to look at. What can we do to make those keep coming back and keep coming back?
I love we've gotten more separation for the North End animals versus we have a much larger family-friendly section.
Yes.
I think that was a brilliant idea.
I think the animals needs built up more. I think the animals there needs to be that's the bad guys area.
Right.
And that would be, because there's people that want to go out and get drunk and have
that's
fun.
The announcers.
Wear the black shirts.
That's the BSU night.
Well, see, that goes back to your show length. You notice that we push the show back, start time back.
Yeah.
But our goal is to actually be done at 9:30. And we do a horrible job of not meeting that, even though we run just like fast all night long. So think about it. What we've actually put together is like your younger people that are coming and they're pre-gaming, I call it. Pre-gaming before they're going downtown. Might as well go to the races because they might get 2 hours.
Get a bucket or two.
And head downtown.
Yeah, they all used to go to the Frontier Club and the 127.
Oh, they're still doing it.
I love a 3-hour show.
Mm-hmm.
If I can walk in the gates and walk out the gates and do that in 3 hours and still have time to go out and do my thing, hells yeah, buddy.
Professional baseball's having the same thing. If they have a 3.5-hour game, they notice that the people that go to those 3.5-hour games don't come back to the next one, but the 2.5-hour games do. So they're thinking about speeding up the pitchers and they're doing some other things. So something can look
or changing it to a later date or something else that.
Yeah.
But just think about it. When the races get done, how many of our people actually go in the pit area?
I love it.
I mean, they just fill the plates.
The earlier we get done, the more people come into the pits.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a fantastic turnaround.
What questions do you have, DJ?
Yeah, DJ.
You can say
I gotta get this bug out of my throat right now.
Would you like a beer?
No.
Big
guys about to croak over here.
While we're at a little brief standstill, Gilligan, Scott Gilligan just chimed in.
Let's talk about Scotty. We have that
Scotty
on the board,
Too Hottie
right?
Gilligan.
We have that on the
He's
board
on
to
the
talk
board.
about Scott tonight.
We have
Scott
a board.
Gilligan, my friend, I've been there where you're at right now, and it isn't easy, my friend. Scotty had a disc replacement in his back. I had one about 14 years ago, 15 years ago, 16 years ago, something like that.
You were laid up for 4 months.
That was nuts. It was like but I remember not being able to move and do the things that Scotty's doing. I know it is a huge thing on your mind when you hurt your back.
Yeah.
Because you can't move without pain. And Scott's been going through that for the better part of 2 months and probably the better part of 3 years prior. But he had his discectomy, and I saw him walking around today with his walker and crawling up his legs and trying to get to the pisser all by himself. And I know what tough that is. So, Scott, we love you. We're thinking of you, or your friends here at Turn5.Live and the RPMS and Mountain Speedway are thinking of my friend Scott. And I'm glad that I'm glad that you're feeling a little bit better. I want to shout out to my friends Eric Reed and Jeremy White that were with me this weekend and made it a lot of fun for me to go to Indianapolis and do the things that I like to do. I also want to shout out to my friend Dave Arcee, I just met officially, for buying us dinner and having a good time with us there in Indianapolis. And we'll have that show. That show's coming.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. Hopefully next week.
I know you can't release the schedule yet on what's going on, but 2019, would you say very exciting? Would you think?
Yes.
I'm privy to some of it, and there's one weekend in my mind that I'm blown away with how much fun it's going to be right now, and you two are definitely involved. So
awesome.
you both know, but you can't talk about it. I swear you to secrecy.
I think we released the Supermod deal this week. So 2-day show over Diamond Cup, return to the Diamond Cup, and they're going to do the reunion around that. But we're also going to put 2 more races on, and really the interest that's exciting to me is the local interest. Like, hey, where can I find a car right now?
Oh yeah, people are asking for race cars.
And it's
pulling them out of
amazing.
leads. I mean, just Van's car. Alone on that message board, trying to find Van Graves' old rear engine car.
Because I know this year, like it didn't work out for the Colorado guys schedule-wise, but did you guys take that into consideration with those guys as well?
I'm actually working with them.
We're way ahead of them, so they should be.
Awesome.
We have an issue in Colorado. So when I did the Supermod show in Salt Lake, we realized quickly that without the Colorado group that this was not going to happen.
Right,
we had 6 cars.
Right.
So I actually flew to Denver and met with them and made a lot of inroads there. Like I said, the schedule didn't work, and everyone was still going to Salt Lake this last year. That was the road trip. That was when they were going to do it. So we're working on them this year, trying to get Colorado National to lay off that weekend and do what we can to get those guys coming. Problem is, it's a long tow for them. Not a lot of money there. They sport like 6 cars per team.
Jeez.
So, but we're trying to make it a happening. You know, it's like, hey, come out and do this deal, be like Salt Lake was, and Salt Lake was just over the top. I mean, we had a good day. It worked out.
Is there still a good contingent of cars out of Northern California as well?
No.
You think?
No,
Okay.
no, there's
Unfortunately.
no. They run the 360 super modified class that has 5 cars out of the Madera area. Kenny Shepard's done a very good job of keeping them alive out of the Madera area. But there are a lot of cars sitting.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons. Most of them are personality conflicts. To be honest, it's not the cars and rules, and a lot of these guys have some money. A lot of these guys used to have money, don't anymore, don't care anymore because they got pissed at each other. Right? And they need to grow up and get over it and get their cars out the racetrack. And I'll be the first one to say it, and shit, they can all yell at me. They're all my friends. I know a lot of them. But they need to get the cars to the racetrack. It's never going to be affordable to race.
Oh,
you got to
you don't run supermods because they're affordable. You run because you got a big set of balls.
You got a $60,000 planter in the garage. It's going to grow, a pot that we can put plants in, or you can have fun with it. You've invested that much in your hobby. Go out and have fun.
I got to give a comment out to Kurt Kern and putting that reunion deal together, and he worked so hard at stuff behind the scenes, and just to hear the group last year, like Randy Anderson, I'll have my car here next year for this deal, and just the enthusiasm, and it rained on us all weekend last year. We had no right getting that race in, But we did. But Friday night when the real reunion took place, it just poured on us. And, it was tough.
Oh,
we were
yeah.
there.
No, it wasn't. I missed the reunion. I can't remember where I was, but I had Spokane work deal. I couldn't make it, and we had Kurt a week before on the podcast. And Kurt, Kurt's one of the best guys you'll ever meet. He's one of our good friends.
That was a fun interview. I think that was the first one that didn't suck.
It didn't suck. And this tonight doesn't suck.
No.
Speaking of which, I think we're pretty much wrapping it up here.
Here.
We're about 12 minutes over our normal allotted time. And we
cares?
appreciate we've had
There's more beer on the table.
We've had 25 wonderful people tuning in tonight, and one of the things we want to do is grow this podcast so we can have moments like we did tonight with our friend Dan, and our camaraderie with our group. We need to grow it a little bit and need to start paying for itself, or these things will go away just like the dodo bird did. So if there's anybody out there that would like to sponsor $100 a month, is all we ask for sponsoring the show.
We'll take anything you want to give us, but we'll talk about you on the show for $100 a month.
Though we did lose a big sponsor for the show, so that just didn't pencil for them anymore. But we need some more sponsors to make this thing work. I know that everybody's stressing it a little bit, but if there is a company or something out there that wants to come on board and sponsor the show, we'd be glad to do it. Our whole goal of this show, so we can back up and tell everybody why we did it, the first show we did, was to better racing and bring people closer together to the racetrack. And I think we've done a decent job of doing that, opening up dialogue. We don't sit here and bash, and that's one of the things we don't do. It's the social media is bashing a lot, and this show is not. It's proactive and productive. And that was the goal we had when we first talked about it, right?
Anybody who puts a helmet on their head is automatically 99% cooler than anybody else on this planet. And anybody who goes to a racetrack,
good saying that.
Anybody who goes to a racetrack is 95% cooler than anybody else on this planet on this racetrack. So right away, I mean, just showing up, you're already fucking cool. So what's to be mad about at that point? Other than a little personality clash, drink a beer, hug it out, let's go racing. So I love that no matter what we do, all of us at Meridian Speedway, at Mountain Valley, Roseville, Monroe, all the places I've been to, that's the majority of the mentality, and that's what we do as a family of racers. That's why I made the Church of Merville. That's our faith, that's our religion, that's where we put our that's where we that's our faith, and that's who we are as our people. That's what defines us as a group, and that to me is why we do what we do. And that's why when we came up with this, I want to preach the word, I want to apostolize, I want to bring those folks in, because I think it's something that my 8-year-old son gets a kick out of it when he goes. I got a kick out of it when I was 8 years old going. You got a kick out of it when you were a kid. We all have that memory, and being family friendly. I like to be in the North End. I like to get drunk and stupid. I love that we have a place where it's safe for families to enjoy that and to look way over there, like, oh, those people being dumb. I like being that dumb.
Well, it's worked for you. That's how you've gone through life.
Exactly.
Wait a second. But I love that
I'm just echoing what everybody's thinking.
I love that I have a place where I can call home, that I can get everything I need, and that you can get what you need, and you can get what you need. And we know that there's kids enjoying the show because we see them in the pits every night. And that the more we can do that, the better everything gets. And
I can't wait, and I used to get off work at 7 o'clock at night from the car business and then show up at the racetrack, and I still do sometimes. Show up at the racetrack late, and I walk in, hey guys, hey, how are you? Dan, hey, hop in the golf cart, let's go look at this shit. We'll go take off and do things. I love walking into the place knowing that I'm going to have fun with my friends and be accepted.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry, Mitchell's cracking my ass up.
Yeah.
Mitchell can't drive 2 hours and finish a fucking race.
Yeah.
Well, he's got it in him. I know he will.
He will. He will. But we're a little bit over tonight, but I think it was well worth it. This was probably my favorite show we've ever done. Dan, thank you very much for all that you've done for motorsports, all your friends in the community that you have out there. You're an asset, and it's wonderful to be your friend. Just the fact that you know who I am is important to me, because I value you that much as a mentor. And I know these guys feel the same, and a lot of the people out there do too. I want to be like Dan when I grow up. How about that? Let's give Dan the clap.
Well, that's two.
There's an appointment for that later.
So for Todd Labronte, DJ Everett, Donovan Johns, and my friend Dan Breach.
Yeah, Dan.
We appreciate you. We'll see you hopefully next week. I think we're doing a show next week.
Should be. I think I made up a calendar. We're all the way through April.
Yeah.
We're doing a show next week. Hit me up with your sponsor proposals. For all of us here at Turn5.Live, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you at the races.
See you later.
I'm doing something.